All right, listen, congrats, mates. You've made a spectacular film.
Cheers.
Oh, I lost you guys. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, can indeed.
All right, you're back. So, I was lucky enough to be doing set visits in Belfast from way back in the day, and as a black New Yorker, I was shocked to see that big mural of Frederick Douglass. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that there was this like bond between the Irish Catholics, to my people here in America, right? So talk about how that culture kind of like helped your struggle and how you guys found your hip hop voice.
I mean, being from Ireland, obviously, we were the first country that the Brits colonised before fucking ruining the rest of the world. So they used the Irish as guinea pigs on how to colonise the rest of the world, and they fucking nailed it with us. They done a good job of that. So we have always, like, in Ireland, had solidarity with any kind of, like, Cushwincher, what is that? Like oppressed people around the world. Like, we always have solidarity with, people who have had a hard time over the fucking course of England's pillaging.
And in 1969 in Derry, they kind of mimicked the marches that were happening over here, Martin Luther King and stuff. They took the civil rights marches and they walked on the streets demanding one man, one vote, and civil rights, and they were beaten off the streets, and it was filmed and shown all across the world, which is when the Irish Americans kind of came in. And
yeah, so like in the late 60s, the way voting worked up north was you were able to vote based on how many properties you owned. So if you were a landlord and had 5 or 6 houses, you had 5 or 6 votes. And a lot of Catholics weren't homeowners. And like, so it was basically, it was a state created for Protestant loyalist people. And yeah, so they seen what was happening in America with Martin Luther King and the civil rights movements, and they obviously got very inspired. And that was the sort of shift. That was obviously the start of the Troubles then.
They started gerrymandering, which was they divvied up the states so that there would always be a Protestant majority and the Catholic could never get ahead in life, So that's why the civil rights happened. People were out in the streets, the British soldiers were sent in and they ended up killing people, shooting into crowds. That's when Bloody Sunday happened in the streets of Derry, And after that, a lot of people were like, right, we're not going to be defended by the police, we need to defend ourselves, So out of that kind of grew a movement to kind of free ourselves, and some of it very, very bloody and violent, and we've come out the other end of that now, thankfully.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on the Frederick Douglass point, he obviously toured Ireland with Daniel O'Connell and was talking and giving speeches about when Irish people go to America, not to be oppressing people over there and to have an understanding of racism and stuff like that there. And I think just in general in Ireland we have an understanding of history and how history repeats itself and how all these systems of oppression are all interlinked, they're all connected, intertwined. And when the famine, as they call it, the Great Hunger, happened in Ireland, I think it was the Choctaw people, is that right?
Yeah, Native Americans.
Native Americans sent over, and they sent over, I think it's the equivalent of like £1 million. 1.4 million. Wow. At a time, I couldn't imagine that they had much money. So we just have this understanding of how solidarity works and how systems of oppression are all interconnected and how colonialism kind of repeats itself all over the world. And what happened in Ireland happened in India and Kenya and all these places.
It's happening in Palestine right
happening in Palestine right now. So I think just with that understanding of history, it makes us very aware and trying to be conscious and try and show solidarity when we can, because I think Ireland now is in a good position, that like it's economically and socially in a better place than it ever was. So I think that gives us time to show solidarity with oppressed people around the world.
Man, great answer, fellas. I just spoke to Rich, and the film is effing awesome. It really blew me away. I wasn't really familiar with you dudes, and I was so impressed by its artistry and just like its visual approach. So obviously, I guess he met you guys in October 2019. You probably had dudes chomping at the bit to try to tell your story. Why did you trust him, and why did you want to write the screenplay with him?
It took a while. Yeah, it took a while. Obviously, we ignored him for a bit and stuff, but you know yourself.
He's from England. You haven't noticed?
Yeah. And he bought his pints.
He's English, so we were quite sceptical. Obviously, the English once again trying to profit off Irish labour. But after he bought us a few pints, we started to like him.
We knew straight away once we met him that like he was serious about this. He came. He obviously had the ideas, but also he was very open to what we, like our input and stuff, which like it made us feel a lot more comfortable, and it was very easy to work with.
He's got that rebellious nature as well. If you look at some of the stuff that he did before this, One Rogue Reporter and stuff, he's like got that devilment about him, and we're like, right, he's
As do we.
Yeah, and I think like it's such a. We've never worked on a film before, so I can't say from experience, but Rich had a very hands-on approach with us as a director. We had like a very collaborative process, and we did the acting classes for like 6 months, and Rich did the classes with us every week, and he was awful at the acting classes.
He would say he was purposely awful.
He said purposely awful. But it was just small things that got there that made us very comfortable on set and with Rich, because he kind of went through all the classes with us and all the tough days and the long days. And there'd be days that we'd be very hungover, and he'd be waiting for us at 10 a.m. and then it'll be 11 a.m. and then it'll be 12 and 1, and then we'd finally turn up.
All right, so let me ask you this, right? So, you know, you dudes are obviously playing yourself, but people are always reductive when they see things, and they always try to compare things to another. So are you worried going to be like, okay, here are these three, you know, white guy rappers. Are they going to be like Eminem and 8 Mile? What do you say to people who, when they see you guys and they're unfamiliar with you, that's the first thing that pops in their head? Is that an insult, or is that something you embrace?
It's just true, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest.
We are 3 white guys rapping.
We weren't the first band to ever profit off black music, and we won't be the last.
Yeah, hip hop is obviously like a storytelling genre as well, and it's for oppressed people. And what better way to kind of get the message out than to do through hip hop?
Do you know what? No, it doesn't happen enough. Us getting compared to the Beastie Boys. That never happens enough.
I've actually never listened to them.
I don't know fuck all about the Beastie Boys, but everybody compares us to them.
I mean, yeah, I think for us, obviously, especially hip-hop as a genre, because of its origins of hip-hop and how it was used to give voiceless people a platform, we wanted it to stay true to that as much as possible in the film, and like kind of show respect to the origins. And I think that's what this movie is about. It's about giving a voice to young Irish speakers in the north. I think it's a voice that hasn't really been heard around the world, really, because it's quite a new phenomenon about young people in the cities speaking Irish. So we wanted to intertwine that sense of identity with storytelling, with a bit of drama.
And also the ethos of hip hop is very anti-authority, and that's obviously, you know, like the movement of Gaelgores, Irish speakers and stuff is all very anti-authority.
Yeah, and the Irish.
The authority in Ireland has not been very good to us.
Yeah, and the Irish is it's an ancient language. It's over 2,000 years old, and the oral tradition of storytelling has always been there, and it was passed down. It was before stuff was written down. All the stories have come through the generations, and this is just our story.
You know, like I said, I wasn't familiar with you, dude, so I watched a lot of your videos before prepping for the interview, before I even saw the movie, and the movie is great, like literally one of my favorite films this year. You're going to get a really good review from me. But you dudes obviously have stage presence, and you have charisma, but, you know, being at a movie set and grinding and doing all the setups and all that stuff, there's a big difference between the beginning and the storyboards and the final product. So I'm so curious, what did you feel when you saw that first cut and you were like, holy shit, this doesn't suck. This actually is a pretty good film. What was your reaction, that first reaction?
The first cut was pretty shit, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of drafts before the thing you saw.
It was fucking 2.5 hours long. I know, it's seeing it on the screen for the first, like, I mean, first time we've ever been involved with a film, and it's obviously, it's one of those ones that's really hard to picture what it's going to be like on screen. So the first time we sat down and with Rich and stuff to watch the cut, like seeing it on, like we knew where it was going, we knew it wasn't going to be perfect and it needed polished, but seeing it on screen for the first time, you kind of understood that we're actually on to something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just pretty surreal to have a film to watch yourself, especially in the cinema when we went to see it and like watch it with people. It's still pretty surreal.
It's hard to believe it's not even fucking out yet. Jesus Christ.
But we sat down and made sure it was authentic and genuine to us, you know, because there's nothing worse than watching a film and then someone says something that wouldn't be said in that area, or the way they speak or the accent just takes you out of the magic. So that was very important, that we were completely ourselves, and that even if people don't get what we're saying, that's what we would say. Like Trainspotting was unapologetically Glaswegian. It didn't give a fuck. They kept the accents, they kept the terminology. It was so raw. I know, but for the point of the point I'm making, like completely Edinburgh, you know. So.
Yeah, we're just mad proud to have a film that represents young people in Ireland and the Irish language movement and all this stuff, and like whatever way the film turned out, we knew we give it 100%, and
dude,
we gave everything.
You guys have made a great film. You know, they give me the rap notice, but I want to sneak one last question in. So DJ, do you still have Bricks Out tattooed on your ass? Is that still a thing?
I don't know if I can show you on the camera or not, but I'll send you a picture.
Sign up to his OnlyFans.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely chatting to you.